crime story.
The disappearance of 21-year-old Christina Whittaker. The quaint American town of Hannibal, renowned as the childhood home of Mark Twain, found itself thrust into the spotlight in November 2009 for a somber reason: the mysterious disappearance of Christina Whittaker. Christina, who had recently embraced motherhood with the birth of her daughter, Alexandria, was preparing to attend her first post-baby shower celebration. She entrusted the care of her 6-month-old baby to her boyfriend, Travis Blackwell, and he agreed to watch over the child at her mother's residence. With this arrangement in place, he dropped Whittaker off at Rookie's Bar sometime between 8:30 and 8:45 p.m., where her friends eagerly awaited her arrival. As the evening progressed and bedtime drew near, the tale takes a sinister turn, and Christina Whittaker vanishes without a trace. With each retelling, the narrative becomes increasingly enigmatic. The puzzle of what unfolded on that fateful November night surrounding the young mother remains shrouded in mystery. Join us as we endeavor to unravel the perplexing layers of this baffling story. The disappearance of Christina Whittaker. Our first solid piece of evidence from that pivotal evening of November 13, 2009, hinges on a phone call made by Christina Whittaker. At approximately 10:30 p.m., she reached out to Travis, the person entrusted with her daughter's care, and offered to bring him some food. During this conversation, she assured him of her return home around midnight, and pledged to call again if she encountered any difficulties securing a ride. What unfolded next, as recounted by witnesses, paints a picture of a night filled with twists. According to these accounts, Whittaker had indulged in a considerable amount of alcohol and began behaving in a manner deemed overly confrontational, resulting in her ejection from the bar at approximately 11:45 p.m. Curiously, her friends declined to accompany her, with one of them expressing their reluctance, saying, "We didn't want to end up in jail with her. She was evidently courting trouble." Subsequent witnesses later attested that after leaving Rookie's, Whittaker proceeded to visit the River City Billiard Hall and subsequently Sportsman's, where she beseeched strangers for a ride home. Regrettably, her pleas fell on deaf ears, as no one was willing to offer her a ride. The bartender at Sportsman's on that eventful night was Vanessa Swank, who was acquainted with the Whittaker family. Swank observed Christina's altercation with someone on the phone. A few minutes later, she redirected her focus to Christina as the young woman, overwhelmed with tears, hastily exited the bar through the emergency door leading to the courtyard. That was the last time she was seen. The search. The following morning, when Blackwell awoke and realized that his girlfriend hadn't returned, he promptly reached out to her mother, Cindy Young. Unfortunately, Young was away at the time, but as soon as she received news of her daughter's absence, she rushed back home. In the interim, Travis arranged for a babysitter to care for little Alexandria, and proceeded with his work responsibilities. Around mid-afternoon, Travis stumbled upon Christina Whittaker's cell phone, lying on the sidewalk outside Sportsman's bar. This cell phone would ultimately become the sole tangible piece of evidence in the case, although it passed through several hands before eventually reaching the police. Regrettably, no substantial evidence of value could be extracted from it. Many would later find it perplexing that no one reported Whittaker's disappearance until Sunday. This meant that for approximately 48 hours, friends and family hadn't initiated any efforts to locate her. Shelley Servone, a journalist from Las Vegas World News who sought to investigate the case, expressed her observations. The 21-year-old, a mother of a 6-month-old baby who typically maintains regular contact with her mother or sees her daily, suddenly vanishes, yet Young doesn't make an effort to file a missing persons report. I must admit, I found this highly unusual. However, Captain Jim Hark of the Hannibal Police Department offered a different perspective, suggesting that there's no need for surprise. It's not uncommon for a person to be absent for a day or two, and that doesn't necessarily warrant an immediate search. Conflicting details. To begin, Christina Whittaker's disappearance is shrouded in a web of conflicting testimonies. Notably, witnesses couldn't reach a consensus on critical details, such as the time of her departure from Rookie's Bar and her companions at the time. The bartender recalled an incident where Christina displayed aggression, prompting him to request a security guard to escort her out through the back door. This account was corroborated by the bouncer, who additionally mentioned a brief return of Whittaker with an unidentified man. Yet another witness informed the police that Christina left the bar in the company of 3 or 4 men, though the precise timing eluded his memory. Concurrently, one of Whittaker's friends disclosed that Christina had engaged in conversation with 2 men near the bar before being asked to depart. Christina Fontana, the director of a documentary titled Ruthless, which explores the mysteries surrounding Christina, astutely remarked, "It appears that nearly everyone who encountered Whittaker that night harbors hidden truths." The rumors circulating in Hannibal, as shared by Fontana, introduced the notion that Christina might have had some connection to drug-related activities. It's worth noting that the filmmaker clarified that the young mother herself never used drugs, but was potentially an informant for the police and had maintained close ties with 2 officers in Hannibal over an extended period. Furthermore, Fontana emphasizes the prevalence of what-if scenarios. Speculation abounds, exploring potential factors that may have driven Christina to leave her home. Perhaps there were underlying issues motivating her to depart. On the other hand, one cannot disregard the unsettling notion that malevolent individuals might have uncovered her role as a police informant, leading to dire consequences. Hannibal, a small community housing around 17,000 residents, teems with a plethora of rumors when you engage with its inhabitants. Amidst this web of conjecture, several theories have emerged. Some theories. The initial individual to face suspicion in the case of Whittaker's vanishing was her boyfriend, Travis Blackwell. 3 months after the young mother's disappearance, her parents appeared on the widely watched American Steve Wilkos show. During the show, the host made strenuous efforts to connect Christina's absence to Travis. Whittaker's friends, in this televised forum, alleged that Blackwell had subjected his girlfriend to domestic violence, and Steve Wilkos disclosed that Travis had not passed a polygraph test. The TV host went even further, proposing the unsettling idea that Blackwell might have disposed of Whittaker's remains in the Mississippi River. However, Christina's mother intervened, casting doubt on his guilt. "I have unwavering faith in his innocence," Young asserted. "He was caring for Alexandria the night Christina went missing, and my son was at home for the majority of that evening, witnessing Travis's presence." However, Young does endorse a theory that her daughter fell victim to human trafficking. This belief stems from an anonymous tip received by the police 2 weeks following Whittaker's disappearance, alleging that she had been abducted by a group involved in the odious trade of people. Furthermore, this informant provided specific details, claiming that Christina had purportedly been transported to Peoria, Illinois. To the astonishment of many, in December 2009, 1 month after her disappearance, a store clerk in Peoria came forward, asserting that she had spotted Whittaker alive and well. This account was substantiated by a waitress in the same town who reported seeing a young woman bearing a striking resemblance to Christina mere days after her disappearance from Hannibal. It was undeniably her. "I'm entirely certain, 110%, the waitress affirmed to KHQA News. The series of testimonies does not conclude here. Another woman came forward, affirming that while receiving treatment at a local psychiatric facility, her roommate turned out to be none other than Christina Whittaker. The patient, resembling the missing Whittaker, withheld her name but disclosed a harrowing tale of purportedly enduring 2 months in slavery before orchestrating her escape and taking refuge in the hospital under an alias. She hinted at being under police protection, suggesting her involvement in a witness protection program. Among the more credible witnesses, a narcotics officer from the Peoria Police Department emerges as significant. He recounted an incident from February 2010 when, while conducting raids on locations suspected of harboring drug dealers, he encountered a woman who bore an uncanny resemblance to Whittaker. In an attempt to identify her, the woman promptly fled. In light of these accounts, Doug Burgess of the Peoria Police Department commented, "We lack any verification that she is presently in this city." Another conjecture suggests that Whittaker's disappearance might have been deliberate. Christina's mother had previously mentioned her daughter's history of medication for bipolar disorder, completed 2 years before her disappearance, and her past expressions of suicidal intent. It has been speculated that her condition might have worsened, leading her to self-administer medication. Mixing such medication with alcohol is not advisable, and this combination could have potentially induced a state of impairment, rendering Christina incapable of controlling her actions. As a result, it's possible that she inadvertently found herself in the vicinity of the nearby Mississippi River and tragically drowned. Another theory stems from a detail mentioned by one of the witnesses. Whittaker, when leaving the bar, was dressed in just a t-shirt and jeans. In frigid 4 degrees Celsius temperatures, attempting to walk home under such conditions could have placed her at risk of succumbing to hypothermia. However, this raises the question of why her body was never discovered, especially considering that a comprehensive search for her yielded no results. Cindy Young, on the other hand, clings to the belief that her daughter is still alive and periodically journeys to Peoria in hopes of uncovering any traces of her. I firmly believe she was abducted, Young conveyed to the Hannibal Courier-Post. Approximately 10 people have claimed to have seen her in Peoria. I am convinced she is being prevented from reuniting with her family or returning to Hannibal under a grave threat. Despite the multitude of perspectives and theories circulating throughout Hannibal Township regarding Christina Whittaker's enigmatic disappearance, the police have made no substantial progress in resolving her case over the past 13 years. The question lingers: where do you speculate Christina Whittaker might be today? I hope you liked this story. Please don't forget to leave a comment sharing with your thoughts below. Give a thumbs up this video, and remember to hit that subscribe button to stay tuned for more captivating stories. Thank you for joining us on this remarkable journey, and we'll see you in the next video.